to me, a high performer is really skilled at what they do, but they also make everybody around them better.
Yes.
And if they're not, like, they have to go. I don't care how skilled they are.
I completely agree. They are not a superstar. Like, if they're holding back your entire team because of the energy, negative energy, or anything they're putting off that harms other people. We see this pretty frequently where there's one person on the team that's derailing the entire team's potential to be high performing as a unit.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Marketing Blender. I am Dacia Coffey, and today I am joined by an extremely special guest, my friend and peer, Brooke Rosolino, the founder of In Good Company. And I cannot wait for you guys to hear Brooke's experience and her point of view, because what she is known for is not just clarifying culture, but literally turning it into the system that will grow, scale, and drive your company's excellence and growth. And it's so exciting. And she's got a fresh, practical take on what it takes to build a company of excellence, and one that gives you significance and meaning for you as a leader, but also for your entire team. And in the age of AI, wholly important, Batman.
It's crazy.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, because I do worry, is AI going to steal culture? Like, is it going to change things so fast that people are not paying attention to what they should have protected? And you really sit in a space of, I'm going to call it deploying culture. You might hate that phrase.
Okay, well, we can go with that.
So welcome. I'm so excited that you're here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's stop real quick, and why don't we talk a little bit about your background?
Sure.
Because you have been with some remarkable companies known for their culture, known for their brand.
Yeah.
So you were with Lululemon very, very early, very central to your story as well as theirs. And then on top of that, you got to help scale Magnolia with Chip and Joanna Gaines, which is also remarkable. And then there's so much else. But why don't we start with, how did you get here?
Okay.
How did you become like the culture guru?
It's so funny. I know. I actually did a post about this the other day, like a recap of like, here's how it started and here's where I am. And I don't do that a lot. And I was like, wow, this is... like I have come a long way.
Isn't it weird, right?
Yeah. What I thought, I was like, I did just declare myself a culture person back in 2016.
Yeah.
So I worked at Lululemon for about 5 years, helped open the Nashville market. And that was super fun. I was like 2-3 years out of college. And I mean, I didn't feel like I worked a day in my life. We went to workout classes and wore tight pants, like wore workout gear, and just got to build community, and something I've always loved that's felt really innate for me. And I ended up helping open that store, and then was the opening store manager, led that store for a while, and then helped the company with bigger company brand projects. And through all of it, what really stood out to me about Lululemon and what really impacted my life was the development, the way that they pulled us into a story that was bigger than ourselves from day one, and the way that I then started pulling people into that story, just talking about how this is how Chip Wilson founded the company. These are our values. This is what we believe. And every company, most have values and principles, but we really did live them and talk about them all the time. Yeah. One of them was integrity, which everybody has that, but we defined it as I do what I say I'm going to do. Yeah. And when I don't do it, I let someone know and I fix it. And like everybody knew that's what that meant. And so from that experience, I had a 6-month-old, and they wanted me to move to Atlanta for a new position. I thought, you know what? I think it's like I have an entrepreneurial itch. I think it's time to scratch it. Yeah. And I think I want to go into other companies and help them build cultures that are not just a good place to work, but really transformative in people's lives. And I think that's where I can go make an impact.
I love it. One of the things about what you just said with, we really live the values is you're naming a behavior that someone can see with their eyes. Yeah. It's not this ethereal, glowy idea of, some conceptual word, but this is exactly how we define this word. This is how I can see it, recognize it, reward it, or coach people back into it. And that's a really great example of how to make something an idea, and like bring it to reality where people will start to own it on their own and not just have a poster on a wall.
Yeah. It's like, here's what this looks like.
Yeah.
And, like celebrating those things and people living that out and calling each other out when you aren't living it out. And it's not easy to do.
Yeah.
But if you are consistent, it's possible.
So you go from Lululemon into entrepreneurship, which is a big jump because it was still.
What was I thinking?
How many times have I been like, it is not as sexy as people give it credit for? Totally.
It's okay.
Exactly.
Here we are.
Exactly. Okay. So what ended up happening? Like, what did you start?
Yeah. So basically, and these are the gritty stories, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, my husband was a teacher. And we had a 6-month-old, and I had the more stable, breadwinning job. And so I was like, well, I just was like, okay, we'll figure it out. I got a girl. I started training at a local gym because I was so connected in the fitness community. My friend Amesy was like, come train at our gym. And I trained I was a personal trainer right when I got out of college. So I kind of had that background. Yeah. And then I hired my friend Lauren and I, she is still an incredible designer. So I was like, hey, how about I trade and like I'll work you out and then you create my brand for me. And started doing macro coaching just to get by. I would do nutrition coaching for people, got a certification. So I'm pretty resourceful and gritty. As I was like, okay, what does it mean to be like a culture consultant? And I think that's what I want to do, but I don't know anybody that is. And so,
I think you were so ahead of the curve time-wise before it became
I agree.
the word that people really believed in and all of this other stuff. So that would have been hard being like, okay, I am literally defining how do I sell this and help people with this from the ground up.
Yeah. And my understanding of what that looked like in companies and how to do it has dramatically changed my original understanding of what that really looks like in practice, even though I'd felt it and experienced it, how to go into another organization and actually have it be effective.
Yeah.
And so, my first client ended up being Magnolia. I put my website up, that's like what you do. You're like, well, I have a website, that's fine. And I have a brand. So just connections that I had. I went to Baylor, and my family's known the Gaines for a while, and her dad was hiring at that time, and they had just opened the silos, and it was bananas how many people were coming. Like they had no idea.
I can only imagine.
The week that I met with them, they're like, how soon can you move here? And at that point we were in Nashville, Tennessee, and I wanted to have another kid, and I did miss being near my family. So I was like, great, we'll move there for 2 to 5 years. I'll work. I was more of an internal consultant with them, and so started in what they call the silos, really their retail operation, and just started hiring people, some of which are still there today, which is amazing, and ended up recruiting, and the general manager, store manager from Lululemon, she came on board, and we just started creating the guest experience training, leadership training. Here's how we do reviews. And then I ended up moving towards working with the executive team to kind of look at the values and rewriting the company values. And it was a wild ride.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, if you can remember back, so curious, what were some of those early conversations where they were saying, here's what's happening and here's why we think we need you, or why you're listening going, here's why I think you need me?
Yeah, I mean, and that really, because I had so much experience in retail at that point.
Yes.
They had one person that had ever managed or done that kind of retail job before. And they had like 7 retail managers at that point.
Yeah.
And so there wasn't time to build any training or this is how we do things here.
Yeah.
And this is what good looks like. I mean, obviously Joanna and Chip set a really high, beautiful standard and precedent of like, we're hospitable. It's that Texas charm. Like they gave all of that to us in a beautiful way, but we had to figure out how to make that come to life.
Yes.
In the day-to-day experience of the team and also the guests that came in the door every day.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had mentioned earlier, you've learned so many things from those early days, and a lot of it was about just being in there. So how have things changed for you? Like, what are kind of some of your core principles that have really developed through being so hands-on with how do you make culture a living, actionable, growing thing that leadership doesn't have to babysit?
Right. There's so much to unpack. Like where to start? I would say the first thing
I'm going to be taking notes.
Contrarian take maybe is because we started talking about values. I think they are important for people to name personally, but I don't worry about them as much as I used to.
Yeah.
Defining them, because I find that the people defining them, that's very, not all the time, but a lot of times it's aspirational and they're not living into those. And so guess what that breeds? Cynicism.
Yeah.
It's really hard to bring that to life when there's the cynicism, and it's like what they say the culture is or the values are, they're not living it themselves, and it's not intentional. It's who they want to aspire to be or how they want things to go.
Yeah.
But they also we don't always know what we mean when we say things. Like we don't take the time to really articulate that.
100%. You know, just I am such a word nerd that I am obsessed with semantics, because what word I might use might mean something so different to you. And I mean, you know, in the marketing side, it can be as simple as the word data. It could be transparency, definitely integrity. I mean, it can be quality. You know, there's so many different things where those translations are so dangerous and very slippery to nail down. Why didn't you understand me? Or, you know, why is something not working? So I love what you're saying. And we've seen that numerous times, you know, when we get to partner with, you know, like with people like you, we're helping with the core values. And we are sitting there saying, how could we tell them, no, that is not your core value. You're not allowed to choose that one because that's not true.
So they do have their place, but I don't start there like I used to. Yeah. I have the conversation, but I also, I realize, okay, there's this thing called, how I look at it is what's the actual grammar of an organization? Because culture is a manifestation of the grammar. Yeah. But the grammar is everything creating the culture. And so I found to really be able to shift and change a culture, you have to understand what all the unspoken rules are and actual behaviors. Because we can have an awesome, you know, decision-making rights matrix or SOP, but that's not how things are happening in the meeting. So it doesn't take me long to kind of see those things. And again, that's what I'm looking for. And it's not I'm not trying to look or fault find. That's not what it is. It's just, we are all human beings and organizations are complex. Yes. And so I go in and I just really think about, like, what is that grammar? Like, what are the unspoken things? Because when somebody says something that's grammatically incorrect, we know it, but we can't always say why. We can't give you the exact rules that makes that grammatically incorrect. We just know it and sense it. Yes. So it's like that in organizations. And to change something, you have to name it. You have to name it. You can't change anything.
God, I agree with you so much on this. Yeah. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. You can't change anything you don't name. And sometimes, like, naming is the whole intervention, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I'm like, guys, sometimes the work is hard and long, but honestly, sometimes it isn't. Yeah. Sometimes it's like, let's just name this, have a good laugh, and then commit to something different.
Yeah.
You know?
I love it.
If it's not working.
Okay, give me some examples of grammar in a company that you see and like just that rise to the surface, you know, where you're like, okay, here's the unspoken that, you know, we can start naming.
I'll give an example. One organization I was working with, they couldn't figure out how, and this was just recent, why they gave their team all the freedom in the world to make decisions and a lot of autonomy. Yeah. And just nobody was. They were all going to one person consistently. Okay. The operators. And they were like, we literally don't understand what's going on. Yeah. And what they weren't knowing is, like, what was happening is the grammar was this person, when I go to them, in a way, it's not performative. I don't think that's a conscious thing, but, like, they know I'm trying to work on stuff and I get in front of them. And then I also don't have to take the responsibility if something doesn't go as planned. Yep. And again, I don't think that was conscious on anybody. Right. But it became a pattern. And also the grammar was like, and this is just human nature that plays a part, when you don't have any constraints and the constraints are wide and not named, people freeze. They don't make any decisions. Yep. And so we really named, here's what the team is getting and what you're getting, the person that they're going to, why you continue to stay in this behavior. For them, naming it was really powerful because the person in that seat actually thought that they were the bottleneck. And I was like, you're not.
That's cool.
You're actually not. And I think a lot of people think like I'm the bottleneck, but it's usually the system.
Yeah.
And so we needed to, yes, clarify decision-making rights.
Yep.
But we also needed to address the tension of people needing to take some personal responsibility, and that person needed to encourage that behavior by not answering questions.
Yeah.
And doing something different.
And that's so interesting because to your point, they could have had a core value, so many different ones. Like let's pretend it's speed, or they could have had a core value of open communication.
One of them was like, be entrepreneurial. And nobody was being.
Perfect. Yeah. And so it's not that they couldn't or that the people or the company couldn't be entrepreneurial, but those hidden patterns were just totally derailing that. And so even if you'd agreed with entrepreneurial, like that's the thing. That's so good.
Yeah. And I saw a stat recently where people will say that their stated organizational values, that their company is actually like, the irony is like they're usually the exact opposite of those, the actual behavior and grammar.
Yeah. So scary. But that's the reason they call them blind spots.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay. Like,
very few leaders are trying to be their own worst enemy.
Of course. So, yeah. Like we're all doing our best. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, it is hard work and everybody has work to do, and it's hard to slow down and actually look at like what's actually happening, but it's very beneficial because you get better results when you do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So I love this grammar concept. What are a couple other ones where you're like, people really get this wrong, or, there's a different way to look at, systematizing culture?
Yeah. I think a lot of times where I start with people is, especially if there's a cycle or a pattern that is starting to feel incredibly painful to an organization, that can look a lot of different ways. It can be fear, it can be overwork, it can be like, those are two big ones I see all the time. And a lot of times it does have to do with the people that hold the most power. For a couple reasons. One reason is they're not dealing with certain quote unquote high performers that are toxic. And toxic, I mean, is it's your attitude, it's how you come in every day. Oh, yeah. It's like, to me, a high performer is really skilled at what they do, but they also make everybody around them better. Yes. And if they're not, like, they have to go. I don't care how skilled they are. I
completely agree. They are not a superstar. Like, if they're holding back your entire team because of the negative energy, or anything they're putting off that harms other people. We see this pretty frequently where there's one person on the team that's derailing the entire team's potential to be high performing as a unit. Yeah. Yeah. Are you normal? No, I mean, seriously, are you normal for your industry? Where do you and how do you stack up in regards to your marketing and sales compared to your competitors? Now, if you really want clear answers, we can help you get those specific to your industry, but let me give you a couple of tips on how to know how you rate compared to them. Did you know that it takes 7 to 13 touches just to get a marketing qualified lead? And on average in manufacturing, it takes between 5 to 12 points of follow-up in order to close a deal? Is your marketing and sales choreographed to track across all of that? And on top of that, you might be looking at as many as 8 different people on your buying committee. Are you traversing deployments that can really cover and influence that number of humans? You should be able to. Also, do you have a scorecard that organizes revenue by what types of revenue flows into your organization, by how the pipeline works, and then what your lead sources are in order to get those meetings, and then what feeds your lead sources? That's how you drive really effective communication. And last, do you have competitive benchmarks? We do. And if you're interested, we can share them with you. But you can also go hunt those down in pretty simple order. But you do need to know if you're under invested, because no matter how much you're spending, it's not enough if that's the case.
Yeah, so it's that, and then a lot of times it has to do with the people in power learning how to self-regulate, which sounds like
No, yeah, we can go there.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So if somebody that holds power in an organization or even a family unit, if they are anxious or fearful, whatever that is, they're not controlling that, the whole organization is going to, it's just natural human nature. That's where the grammar part comes in. They are going to revolve around that anxiety.
Yes.
And I have found that to be, especially with a lot of my clients, I work with a lot of founder-led companies, and that's like honestly one of their biggest takeaways working with me. They're like, oh, you taught me to like not, like if somebody's upset to like, they get so attached. You want everybody to be happy. And so you're kind of connected and enmeshed with everybody else's anxieties and emotions.
Oh yeah. I've felt for a long time like being an entrepreneur is putting a ginormous magnifying glass on every piece of your personal baggage.
Totally.
And just being like, hey, whether it's people pleasing or impatience or anxiety or name all the things that any individual can struggle with, right? Now let's just go accidentally create processes and issues like with other people. Yeah. So it plays out on a public stage.
Totally.
This is so fun. But, and I mean, over the years, like really seeing, and you as a founder, you would change if you knew how. Like you did not lug all of those issues into your company on purpose.
No.
And so it takes a lot of work, and it is very hard to self-assess, and to understand, how good intentions play out in unhealthy patterns, especially when you're not trying to in anything, micromanage, people please, like overanalyze, slow things down, go too fast. Like it doesn't even matter what side of the spectrum you're on. Yeah. And it's so difficult. So I think that is huge because how do you know that you're accidentally enabling patterns that are contrary to what you're trying to accomplish? You don't.
Yeah, it's hard. That's like work I've spent years thinking about and learning and like sharing, because it makes I've just seen it. And I'm not trying to change anybody. That's not what it's about. No. And I think some people come in like, or people that work, especially with founder-led companies, are like, they need to change. And it's all about how they need to change. And I'm like, that's the wrong solution. We are who we are.
Yep. And
we all have areas to grow in. And we all need to also, they need to take responsibility for their own emotions, learn how to self-regulate, because that helps the whole organization self-regulate, even in a 500-person company.
Yeah.
As someone on the front lines in a warehouse that may never have any contact with that founder or that CEO, they are going to feel the ramifications.
100%. I mean, there's a company we worked with for a long time where the leadership goes so fast. They're a really remarkable company. Their culture is real and you can feel it. Mm-hmm. And no one's perfect. So the leadership goes so fast. They have not delegated critical decision-making power throughout the organization, and they're ginormous at this point.
Yeah.
And they don't realize, and they all just say, it's fine. I'll work at night. I'll take care of it on Saturday. I'll do it on the plane. I'll do it on Sunday. I will come in extra hours. But that narrative is spread across the entire company now, and that's real.
Yeah,
about
the grammar
their culture
is
too.
The grammar there is like working hard is how you're successful here. Staying late equals success.
Yeah.
Or
yes,
it's those kind of things that are never spoken. It's like people that have SaaS startups that have the unlimited vacation, but nobody takes it.
Exactly.
That's what you say, but like you really can't take vacation.
We worked with a company that had a 4-day work week, so they didn't work Fridays.
Oh yeah.
And all of their people work till like 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday.
Yeah, that
and you're like,
stressful.
And they're like, Thursdays are terrible. Like they would talk about Thursdays like very glitchy. And I was like, coolest idea, worst rollout.
Yeah, not working.
They're all like, we all hate Thursday afternoons and evenings.
Again, you always have to start when you're thinking about culture. You got to you got to look for the things that are hidden. Like where is what we're explicitly saying in contrast to what we're actually doing?
Yeah.
Where is it clashing? And then you have to think about like what are the systems and the structures that we need to build and support and nurture for us to design an environment and ways of working that's going to produce the culture, it's not just the vibe, but it's also the outcome that you're going to get to be able to effectively execute your strategy. And a lot of people don't understand how important it is for your strategy to align with your culture.
Yeah.
And if your strategy changes, you're actually going to probably have to change your culture too. And people don't even think about that.
It's not necessarily, well, it is a constraint, because if there's a strategy that you have that is dependent on jumping on opportunities early or going faster or having better customer service or more innovation or who knows what, and you have a culture that constrains that capability, it doesn't matter that you can see the system in your mind or you can blueprint it out on a document if people can't actually function in that without you.
Yeah.
It can't be done.
If it's like move fast, like we got to move fast to execute this strategy, but then we have like 5 approvals that need to happen.
Yes.
It's not going to work.
No,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. You see those hidden things everywhere
Yeah.
too, like where they don't realize that the choices that they're making are exactly contrary to the vision that they cast for everyone to do.
Yeah.
Yep. I love it. Okay. So, this sounds so obvious, like such an obvious question, but as you go through the transformations, like what are some of your favorite moments, as things start getting named and crystallized and put into place?
Just a team that was talking over each other constantly in a meeting and it being a really chaotic environment with a very large company. And within, I would say 6 months, maybe it was 6 or 8, the team we were running like a very effective weekly meeting that things were getting done, brought to the surface, and action was being taken. Like we were really getting traction. And, moments where, again, there was one meeting where nobody was, and one time, sometimes I will facilitate meetings for a period of time because people need to like see what that looks like. Yeah. Because we all learn, let's learn how to facilitate a meeting training, right?
No.
We learn by like doing and watching.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do and watch or they can watch and I'm going to do for a little bit. And that's really helpful. But yeah, things like that, like they used to talk over each other. Now they're not. And, meetings where everybody comes in and it's like doomsday. Like one day I remember I'm like,
talk about an energy killer for anyone.
And so I just said, you know what? Before
motivation.
we're going to start, we're all going to go around and we're going to acknowledge one person in this room that we're going to appreciate something specific about them. Or we went through actually one person at a time and like 1 or 2 people shared. I am telling you, the entire energy changed in that room. Yes. It was like lights were back on, and so, meetings that I have that sticks, like a busy CEO that's like so stressed. And I'm like, okay, you need this Tuesday morning meeting with your team, your executives. And he does not miss that meeting anytime.
Love it.
So like seeing stuff like that stick that brings coherence to an organization and order so that they can really, and I think they made their 5-year goal in like 2 years. And this is a large, Yeah.
I mean, that's what's possible. Yeah. Love the word that you just chose, coherence, because I do not think that is a word that is in our communal vernacular anymore. So why that
it's a
word?
word I'm bringing to the top.
I love it. I am like, immediately I'm like, ooh, like that just tuning fork went, ooh, that's important.
Yeah. Yeah. So coherence is when it's almost like that flywheel effect where, again, it's a couple things. It's like your strategy and your culture are in sync and your people are being, in a way, supported and getting the skills that they need to execute. And also that there is an understanding of what's important consistently so that we all know this is what we're doing and this is what winning looks like. And it's a really beautiful thing when you have that. And when you say who you are, when your brand, external brand, also matches your culture.
Yes.
Exactly. Because I've seen plenty of cases where
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And I don't want to.
I mean, people's BS meters, like, not
Yeah.
true. I mean, it's not good for your closing ratios if people don't believe you are what you say you are.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think coherence, if I could say another word that equals, is just health.
Yeah.
It's health. And when we have that, and it's getting more that, we're never going to have 2020 when it comes to the world right now. It's too chaotic and complex, but we can definitely see and make better bets and people within the organizations can make better bets, which they do every day, all day.
Exactly.
When there's coherence.
Oh, I love it.
It's a strategic advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you and I were talking that you are so entrenched in AI right now. And I'm so curious if our audience is like, what? Like, why? Okay. So speak to that. Like, talk to me about, where you're going, where your research has led, what you're being asked to facilitate, that type of thing. Because it's one thing for a leader of a marketing in a growth firm to be like, we deploy a lot of process consulting around AI. Obviously. Obviously, we use boatloads of AI and have been for years. But I think this might be a surprising component. So where are you headed with this? What are you seeing?
Yeah. I was in this mastermind where we were really focusing on AI heavily last March. So I've been lucky and fortunate enough to be around some really great minds in the space.
Nice.
And I've always been an early adopter. Like I remember I had an iPod before anybody else did in college. You know what I'm saying? I've always just been an early adopter of things. And, I think as far as AI and organizations go, I know people, it's a very emotional topic.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the Reese Witherspoon Instagram post.
No.
Yeah. So she posted on Instagram, like, hey guys, it's time to learn AI. We should just go in and do it. And the women's comments people were just like, that is a position of privilege. They're taking out all, like, it's you should go through and
I'm going
it
to.
would be an interesting.
Yeah, I'm definitely
it's an interesting case study. I haven't gone into the weeds with it, but I will. But I just think it's that was a snapshot into what's happening in the culture around AI and how there is. So I just say that to say I know there's a lot of. I don't want to dismiss.
There is so much emotion around it.
Yeah, and I want to acknowledge that.
100%.
And the way I'm viewing it is how can I help, like, how can it help us be superhumans?
Yes.
And not take away how can it take away the most boring parts of our jobs and give us the space to do the stuff that we're really good at that only humans can do?
100%.
And so that's why I'm like super interested in it.
Same.
And I've just had fun being like a superhuman. I mean, I've been like creating my own agents and
Yeah.
I'm like, I've like totally did that. And I've got like a morning brief and it tells me all the things.
Yeah.
And, so I can spend more time doing things that I love. And as far as when it comes to culture and organizations, I mean, AI is way ahead of where organizations are right now. And that can breed a lot of anxiety.
I mean, I just saw some statistics today that my team was sharing that AI adoption is so much lower than what the media is saying.
Yeah.
And it's not surprising. Like AI has learned one person at a time, right? Mm-hmm. Like you are, figuring out how to build an agent. I am doing that. My entire team is doing that, but all inside of their areas of mastery, the automations and efficiency that they need, how their brain and their mind work. And so then you think about larger organizations, especially enterprise, and what they're used to is deploying large scale governed rollouts of technology or systems or learnings or trainings. And that is not what we are looking at right here. And so the statistics around adoption were so low where at enterprise level, most never get out of pilot stage and still are not. And they don't know how to roll this out large scale, let alone even just have a shared language and community around shared knowledge. So yeah.
There are so many assumptions that are actually also built into technology, especially like an AI tool. The person building that tool has built a lot of assumptions into it.
Yes.
And those assumptions may not be correct because they're far from the work.
Yeah.
And so the people doing the work, they know, like you said, my teammates are within their own, zones of genius and mastery are building what they need, to help and support their work.
Yep.
And so I think as far as an individual within an organization, I would recommend everybody to just spend time. You have to I did a training with a team a few weeks ago and I just said, learning large language models and AI was not on your job description, and now it's on everybody's.
Now it is.
Like,
yep, get over
I know
it.
you didn't. It wasn't on there when you got hired, but like it is now, and I think we just have to like
get comfortable
accept
with
that is the case, and not saying, oh, let's just AI take over our lives, but accept that is going to be a part of our everyday reality. And we can also do things that are helping keep AI safe and regulated and things like that.
Yep.
But it's a part of everybody's job now. And the way you get good at it is wasting 6 hours on a Saturday morning being like, okay,
I'm just going to do
now
this.
I get it. You know what I mean? But like
100%.
I have learned the most through being like, this is how you get this set up first and really easily.
Yeah.
And somebody could tell me that, and I watch a lot of videos and things like that, but
oh, it's way different than what those videos say.
Yeah.
It is not as easy as, you know, like the 30-second like reels make it out to be.
You're like, wait, what? No, wait. Like I thought that was, what's that? What's an MCP?
I know all of us like have so many of those saved.
Yeah.
Like, you know, just go ahead and
now I'm
delete
like-
them because you're going to find out they're not going to help you.
Exactly. I'm like, okay, now I have to know about how GitHub works. And
Exactly.
okay, here we go. You
Yes.
know, so I'm choosing to have fun with it, but I think for organizations, it's really, really important how you adopt it and how you think about it. And that's really where a lot of my work is around and I'm developing it as we go. Cause again, we all are.
Exactly.
The answers are also going to move, but the underlying principles and understanding how these things happen is you have to, again, a lot of people they're building these AI capabilities in organizations, but then the humans in the loop are taking the brunt if the AI agent messes up, and they're actually not educated enough to know or trained enough to know if it did mess up.
Yeah.
So you can't, nobody's going to probably be able to move as fast as they want to.
Yep.
And sometimes there's that J curve with change and investment in technology, especially you're going to, it's not going to feel like a good investment until you get through that rough patch, and then it will again. But you've got to push through that piloting phase. And you also have to understand people have to still do their knowledge work. You have to understand how knowledge moves through systems. And they did a study, I think, with doctors that they were having them look at colonoscopies, an agent was, and after 3 months, their own judgment and ability to see things was degrading.
Oh,
3
wow.
months, not 3 years.
Wow.
3 months.
Degrading.
So we
not
have
amplifying.
to,
yes.
we have to continue to think, and we can't just let it do it all. We can't just let it take over and do everything all the time.
100%. Like one of the exercises I'm recommending, because it was so effective in our organization and the few times we've rolled it out, it's just been awesome, was especially if you're in a fast-paced environment, so marketing as an example, what do you have to be willing to give up in the next 2 years,
Interesting, yeah.
And you don't have to love it and you don't have to be right, but what could happen? But at the same time, on the other side of the whiteboard, you need to be, and what will AI never replace?
Yeah.
And it is so insightful about, your culture, because what was on the board was not what I would have anticipated that the team would have said. And that's played out true the other times I've seen this done, and also you get so much clarity on the value you're really driving and why you're good at what you're good at, when you organize delivery, and the things that we're known for that we have our hands on today versus value and why those delivery components are great.
Yes.
And worthy. And it was very inspiring, I was like, we're going to take the bull by the horns here, and really talk about it. And we need to build this comfort level of we can let things go and not be scared of that and really lean into the definition of that. But it helped go this is not how we use AI, to your point about, not letting it do all the things. Like there is a right way and a wrong way to use it. It's why we have phrases like AI slop. So
yeah. And AI is not intuitive. Like AI can see patterns, but it can't create new possibilities. You can brainstorm with it, but AI cannot access and understand novel situations and how to act in it. It only looks at past patterns. So when it comes to creating the future, that's our job.
Yes.
That's our job. And that's my favorite part of my job. It may not be everybody's, and I sympathize with the people that are like, I love just data entry.
I want repeatable systems that I am good and efficient at. Yes.
Yeah. And there's still
Totally
going to be
different.
places like the work is just going to shift what it looks like, but it is going to shift what it looks like. And so I think what the kind of upskilling we need to invest in as organizations and as humans is, how do I access my intuition, my emotional regulation? How do I think critically? How do I make decisions in a complex environment? Yeah. Because it's different than if it's a simple or chaotic environment, right, or a complicated, like how that situational intuitive leadership is the farthest thing from being soft. Yeah. And it's, been seen as that in the past, but I think now it is going to be everybody's like highest valued, and understanding obviously the skill in their field. Yeah. Like I could never do what one of your team does and manage the agent and know if it, I have taste, which is great. I'm thankful because sometimes I do kind of get to create things because I know I have taste, but I could never execute what, one of your CMOs is executing because I don't have that skill set. I could never do that.
Well, absolutely. And there's all of the stuff out there about, like, as an example, there's so many narratives out there, but one is, AI is going to eat graphic design. No. So can it take on heavy lifting of some basic stuff that is not mission critical? Of course. And thank God, because the artist didn't want to do that one anyways. Yeah. Right. But, you hold up even really basic stuff that, our artists knocked out in an hour compared to what AI knocked out fighting with it in an hour. And it is day and night different, and I just think we love what the other people create. Like we are fascinated by what's possible out of, human capability. And I don't think, generally speaking, we're going to want to let that go.
No.
No matter how good the tools are going to get, I think, to your point, we will craft them into where we want to use them. But then I think we will still value amazing human capability, right? Doesn't matter if a robot someday could carve the David. We're still going to prefer, like what came out of somebody's brain and heart and meaning, versus, whatever robotics are going to happen someday.
Yeah. And I think the key there is meaning. Like that's another word for culture and the work and where culture lives. It's in the space of meaning, not value.
Yeah.
Culture lives in meaning. And so there's plenty of meaning to be had, and we can use AI in a meaningful way. But stuff that is designed by a human with their hands, with their mind and heart is going to have very different outputs.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to chase a squirrel based on something we talked about like not too long ago. You recently have gotten obsessed with sports.
Yeah.
And I'm going to reframe high-performing teams. But specifically sports. Mm-hmm. So talk about why, because of course sports is one environment where culture is a thing. Mm-hmm. High-performing teams are commonly talked about. And so what did you see there where you're like, that is so interesting and I want to go deeper there?
It was like 3.5 years ago, and Baylor, I went to Baylor, so I'm a Baylor fan, a tempered Baylor fan, And no, I am. And they were on a losing streak, and I do a lot of like leadership development type work. Yeah. And I did that because I knew I needed to have that to be able to get the work done.
Yeah.
It's just true. Yep. I'm like, to be effective, working in organizations, I need to have this capability and experience. And I was thinking about, okay, they've been losing and they're on a losing streak. Like, what would it look like to use some of the tools that I use within organizations and even for myself to get them out of this energetic rut quickly. Yeah. And that was kind of what first initiated that. And going back to naming things, a lot of the work that I've done and I found really effective is a simple working with people to identify, sometimes it's one-on-one, what's the block, and really listening and being able to name that. You got to be focused. It's present work, but it's quick.
Yeah.
It's quick. And it's not in it, so if there's like an underlying narrative about, okay, we keep losing and there's all these people building these assumptions, what do you think that's doing to an entire group?
Right.
Yeah. It's affecting their probability and possibility of winning the next time.
Absolutely, because that's a belief system now.
It's a belief, and our beliefs affect what? Our reality.
Yes, 100%.
And it's hard because it's people, you start to get into that, it feels woo-woo and all those things, but it's really just, it is science and how human beings are made, and our emotions are really effective in our performance. Yeah. And so that's how I started getting interested in it, and then thinking about how with NIL and everything was changing, what would that look like to go in and, really equip teams and, even athletic departments. And here's kind of a way to think about culture and how to build it quickly and maintain it. And then so much of culture is, and you've got to think about all these individuals, right? And it's funny, I'll listen to commentators in sports be like, they were in the wrong system. And you can be an incredibly talented person and be in the wrong system.
Yes.
And fail.
Yes.
And so I don't think everybody, that is the piece I'm so interested in. Like, how do you really understand the system, building the conditions for people to truly succeed? And what does it look like to equip these people and these coaches that are in it 12 hours a day really quickly and simply so that it has a big impact?
Well, and I love the quickly and simply component because I think so many people hear the word culture or they hear, some of the underlying components, and they think this is going to take years to shift. And you're saying, nope. No. I think there's a simpler, more human, straightforward way. That's like a really exciting concept.
And human nature is to try harder and to strive and push. And I think that's really embedded in athletics. And that mentality is like, we just have to like train more,
just
run more, grind.
Yeah.
And what's actually, I had a really crucial conversation coming up with work recently, and I was stressed. It was very like high stakes, and I just took a minute and I listened. I said, I prompted myself. Yeah. So this is a lot of accessing your intuition. Yes. We're prompting AI, but actually how we access our intuition is by asking the right questions and prompting ourselves.
Love that. Yes.
And that's like a huge thing I'm really passionate about, but I prompted myself and I said, what is important for me to know about this conversation today?
Yeah.
Because it was really sensitive conversation and it could have gone a couple ways. And I heard talk or listen and ask questions 80% of the time and talk 20. And that was so much better than me researching tactics and stressing out and you know what I mean, and going to that. I went into that conversation so grounded and it was really effective. Yeah. So that's just an example of quick and easy. But it wasn't me striving. It was sitting back and like listening. What is affecting me right now?
So much of my job is crucial conversations. Like, who knew that's where the journey would lead?
You're gonna be an entrepreneur? Okay, you're gonna have a lot of hard conversations.
I know, exactly. But but it's so funny what you were saying about that. Like, that prep time is so much more critical than any bullet points, than any structure that you can think of, of being like, okay, I have gotten the areas where I feel insecure, nervous, overwhelmed, anxious, or emotional in whichever direction. Yeah. And now I know, okay, this conversation is not a threat to me anymore. And so then how do I meet that person? How do I find the win-win? And you're so right. So often it's not about being heard, but it is about listening, understanding their point of view so that you at least create an environment that you can progress from there. Yeah. So even if you don't have an exact outcome on that call, if you calmed it down and found a point of unity, you will pretty easily after that. But you've got to get out of that fight or flight, And so like when you're talking about grounded, I'm like, yes, I completely agree with you.
Yeah. And people are always, my teacher and mentor says, people are always and only listening to themselves. Yeah. And so I think I've given up by trying to convince anybody of anything.
Oh, yeah, it's not.
Which is like it's so freeing. I'm like,
I was about to say frustrating.
No, I'm freed by it though. Oh. I'm like, this is kind of liberating.
Yes.
Because I can manage a conversation in a process and trust that and then.
Yeah. Well, because what I've found for myself was I go too fast. And so I had to decide to let go of my definition of speed, because what I didn't realize was my impatience was slowing things down. You know what I mean? But the feeling of speed was something that I really had to be like, that has no place here. Wow. Yeah. That does not bring value. And amazingly, when it did go away, so it did free me up, but that was not how it felt in the beginning.
It never feels like that in the beginning.
When I was working through it. 100%.
I call it the reactive round.
100%.
The first round is always reactive. of anything. And you got to restore yourself and get back into that, place above the line.
Yes.
Thinking about a line, and
100%. Okay, so you're also building an upcoming cohort.
Yeah.
And what I love about how you describe this is you're like, this is the thing that I would be willing to fail at because it's so worth it. So share a little bit about that, because I think it's so important for people to hear that phrase and to think to themselves, what is the thing that I have to go for? Because it's so important. So talk a little bit about your cohort.
Yeah, so it's going to be 12 weeks, and it's a partner and I, Savea, and we're getting just really interesting leaders, founders, people that have a lot of responsibility within their organizations, and pulling us all together for 12 weeks. So we're going to start, online for a month, and then we're going to have an immersion in Manhattan in October, which who doesn't love to be in New York in October? And the whole, it's called the Intuitive Edge. And really the whole purpose of bringing everybody together is to be with a group of peers. I love meeting new people. I love diverse ideas. So I'm really excited about bringing a really diverse group of people together. And then also going through a process of like, what does it look like? Again, like kind of what we talked about today, to self-prompt, to access that intuitive edge that we all need, how to make decisions without a lot of data, how to be quick, how to know what kind of, is this a complicated or a complex situation? Based on that, here's the kind of decision making that requires and actions from me. And then really, what we need as leaders is changing because of AI and because of the world that we live in now. So part of it's just a developmental focus for all of us to get in a room and learn from each other. And then everybody's going to bring a change project, anything that, whether it's a personal, most likely it'll be mostly organizational, whether it's their AI change management project. And we're going to be working through these guided principles to bring a change to life.
Amazing.
And go through the process. So I'm excited. It's short and sweet. And
so cool.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh,
we'll see
my
how
gosh.
it turns out.
Well, and it's cool because it takes your other principles around how do we affect simple, straightforward, and profound change quickly.
Exactly.
And so that's what I love about this is, again, you're like, no, like we could really do something important, with a group of people and talk about what AI cannot replace. Like you're literally
1,000%.
creating an environment where we get to go deeper on the specific space inside of our own selves that AI cannot replace, but that if we use AI well, becomes even more important that we can tap into it. Love that.
So I'm on a mission to like redefine culture. It's not soft. It's actually the hardest stuff. So it's intuition, and it's a strong competitive advantage. And we just all got to kind of get with the program. I say, like, we've thrown culture to HR because the C-suite didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, because who owns it? 100%. They don't know.
But it is time to take culture back from HR. It is not HR's job.
It's not a compliance function.
No, it's
a
strategic capability for any organization.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
Strategic capability. Completely agree.
Yeah.
Okay. So final thoughts that you were like, oh, dang it, I wanted to share this.
Oh my gosh. I feel like I shared a lot.
I know, this was so fun. That's why I was so excited. Oh gosh. Well, I mean, honestly, going backwards to forwards, the strategic capability, like about where it needs to live, also going backwards around intuition and how do we allow that to come forward. And I'm going to tie the naming it. Like I love the idea of naming intuition, naming, that part of ourselves that cannot be replaced. So I think people need to do deeper work and that will impact organizational health, that they go so beautifully hand in hand. And then, one of why I led there in the very beginning is realizing that there are practical functional systems that can be improved quickly that turn culture from an idea into a real thing that is so easily recognized and felt by any stakeholder, customer, partner, prospect, leader, future employee, current employee, and that it's way more practical than we give ourselves credit.
So practical.
So those are my big takeaways. I could sit here and talk to you for forever, but those are my big ones. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love this conversation, and I'm so impressed just from our conversations and how you go about thinking about business and team, and it's just an honor to sit down with you.
I think we're weird in the same way.
I know. I could see that. Yeah.
Totally.
I love it.
Well, thank you so
Yes,
much.
thanks for having
How
me.
can people find you?
Yes. In Good Company, the letter N, goodcompany.com. Or, yeah, I'm on Instagram and then LinkedIn some too. I'm trying to be on there more. But
Okay, side note.
Yeah.
Your post the other day on LinkedIn around, hey guys, LinkedIn's getting so boring. Can we
I know, I'm
please,
like really bored.
I'm really not getting anything out of here. Can we
Are
please
you,
do
or is that-
better? I go,
Like,
I
Brooke,
go
wrong
through
move.
phases, but I was dying. I was like, let's go, girl. Talk about making it more interesting and in
Yeah.
one single post.
Yeah.
It was so good.
That's what I'm committed to, just keeping it real.
100%.
But yeah, I'm like kind of bored. But anyways, yeah. So you can find me online, Brooke Rosolino on Instagram and LinkedIn or my website.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you guys, thank you so much. Lean in on this. Do not let the tail wag the dog. Don't let AI be the thing that you're following. Don't let the tactics be the thing that's leading you. So take the time because it can change, scale, and accelerate everything, which is take the time to understand your human heart, your gut, and the things that are happening between the humans on your team, because that's the real potential of the age of AI, is that we can be more human, but you guys are the ones that have to decide to do that. So thank you, Brooke, for
Thanks for having
sharing.
me.
Absolutely. Onward and upward, you guys.